Her stomach's gonna rumble, huh? Oh, that's embarrassing. Been there, done that. So at the beginning of the episode, we see Woong continuing to say these bad jokes, and then later we see Woong talking about his job, talking about the dog game he made, and what was so funny is that Emotion Cell, she was upset, she was bored, she was angry, she wanted to leave because at that point she was not impressed with Woong whatsoever. And then later we see Giant Hunger Cell. He is whining and crying because he's hungry and he blows on the flute. If Hunger Cell blows on the flute, Yumi's stomach is going to rumble, and it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. If you're in a public place, especially on a date, and your stomach rumbles, that is embarrassing. It happened to me before when I went on a date. Yeah, but anyway, now when Woong kind of looked around, I kind of think he was trying to play it off because, it was pretty obvious, and that's why he stopped talking and said, "Hey, let's go." And he does take her to a restaurant that she's never been before. It was a nice move for Woong to cut the conversation and basically help her out and not being embarrassed. Then they're at the restaurant, the food is coming in. One of the food that they ordered was kimchi jjigae. And here's the thing, Anxiety Cell was very worried because Yumi, she was wearing white and she doesn't want to get any of the kimchi jjigae on her clothes. So Woong noticed it, got up and brought Yumi an apron. The fact that Woong was being very considerate, he was not showing off. And also, he impressed Fashion Cell with his effortless look, and it was very effortless, I'll tell you that. He was earning points from the cells, except for Emotion Cell. And if that wasn't enough, Yumi was about to pay for dinner. Woong stopped her, and he grabbed her hand to stop her. And then we see the cells at the village start to float. And I'm assuming this is giving Yumi butterflies. Emphasis on the fly. Woong does try to stop her from paying, but she ends up paying anyway. Then Yumi was about to end the date, but then Woong didn't want that, so he insisted they go to a frog festival. What I found really funny was that mostly Yumi, tried to pretend to be an official couple just to get the discount, and she had to post their picture on her social media account. She says that no one was going to look at it, but Ruby ended up looking at it. Then Ruby called Woong. At first, I'm thinking, wait a minute, how does she know Woong? But then later, it was shown that that night when Yumi was dropped off, and then the rest of the night, Ruby spent it with Uki, it was that night where she also met Woong. Now, as Ruby was talking to Woong on the phone, Woong basically told her everything. The blind date was set up by Uki. She was shocked and surprised. I'm sure she is. The fact that she was so surprised and happy that the blind date was set up by Uki, my guess is that she doesn't know that Uki is gay. And then we see this mysterious Cell upset with how things are. From his point of view, it just doesn't seem right because it's a few days after Yumi was heartbroken by Uki, and now she's on this blind date happy. Again, it just didn't feel right for that Cell. So that Cell went to a location at the village which was off limits. There was a lever that said Yumi. He pulled it down. Then later we find out that it's actually her mood lever, and the Cell that pulled it down was Hysteria's Cell. Because the lever was pulled down, now we see Yumi just feeling down. It's almost like she hit rock bottom. As Woong was getting the popcorn, we see Yumi thinking to herself, man, I have no pride. And what am I doing? This is days after being heartbroken by Uki, and she basically wants to end the date, and she does. Man, I felt really bad for Woong. And then after the date, we see Woong heading home. He sees SaeYi. He talks to her. He talks about how pretty she is and how much he likes her, not just because she's pretty, but he likes everything about her. And as he was talking about her, SaeYi cut him off and says, I'm heading home. Yeah, I was right from episode 1, or no, episode 2. She does have a crush on Woong. And it shows. Then later on that night, Woong does text Yumi and says, "Hey, I had fun. I hope you made it home safe." But Yumi does not text back. The fact that she doesn't text back does make Woong kind of freak out a bit, to the point where he's asking why she's not texting back from Lewis, to the point where he's looking up online on if you text a girl and she doesn't text back, what does that mean? So the fact that it's so relatable is just so it's almost like you're watching yourself, even if you never done that before, but you've thought about it. Again, it's almost like you're watching yourself on the screen. Yumi does reply the next morning, which make Woong feel a little bit better. But before that, he was thinking about shaving his beard, but he does it eventually. Now with Woong's cell village, I guess, well, I don't know the exact name for the cell, but I'll call him facial hair cell. He was pissed. The fact that it was the facial hair that made Yumi not text back, but it wasn't his facial hair to begin with. But then eventually, whoever was in charge, I don't know which cell that is in Woong's cell village, but he says, you know what, just shave him off anyway. Now, towards the end of the episode, we are continuing seeing Yumi feeling down. Hysteria cell is continuing to cause havoc. The other cells have not pulled the lever up. So Yumi is still feeling down. The cells were having hope for hunger cell, but Yumi doesn't have an appetite, so no hunger cell. Woong does continue to text Yumi, but she's not replying. We do see Yumi's phone being broken, so whoever that she took it to, he's gonna fix her phone, but it's gonna take a whole day, so she's not texting back. Woong is kind of, I wouldn't say freaking out at this point, but more concerned. He even asked SaeYi and Lewis why she's not texting back. SaeYi thinks this whole thing is over because she is explaining that Yumi's text doesn't have any emojis, just a period, meaning that, yeah, it's over. At one point, Yumi does fire back at Ruby, telling her why does she has to be so nosy, stop it. Yeah, it was a good call from Uki to set Yumi up on a blind date. Yeah, it was a good call for Ruby. And she just continue on, just saying, you know what, I'm just gonna go to the hospital alone. That's how it's always been, alone. And then we see Woong holding an umbrella over Yumi, and that's basically the end of the episode. So my impression on this episode, when it came to the blind date, yeah, I thought it was cute, I thought it was funny. It was nice to see a change of heart that Yumi had. First, she thought, oh, this guy is awkward, this guy is weird. But then, yeah, had a little change of heart towards the end. But it was also good to see Yumi's situation after being crushed by her crush. And now she's on this blind date being happy. So seeing one side of a blind date, all happy and whatnot, was good. But then also showcasing a person's situation after being heartbroken, and now they're on this blind date just laughing about, So for them to show both sides of this, I thought it was a good idea. Yeah, it was pretty obvious that SaeYi had a crush on Woong, but the only thing I don't like about a romance is when a third person or a fourth person is involved. And man, you just feel bad for the other character. I hate that. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the episode and my review. If there's anything I might have missed, please leave in the comments below. Other than that, if you like this video, leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. See ya.